To keep things moving, I kind of want to jump ahead to your days at Plymouth State. Do you think that's kind of a good place where you sharpened your teeth and honed in your skills? And
No.
You are listening to the Bomb Hole.
Bomb Hole Podcast.
It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
The Bomb Hole. That bitch is crazy.
Okay, we are back in the booth for another Bomb Hole. Stony Buds, how we doing?
Dog, I am doing good. Today, my props are going out to Jason Falco, our first homie to join our family on the Patreon. Big moves.
Shouts to Jason.
Really excited about our guest today.
Yeah, we got Mr. Mike Rav, Ravioli. How we doing, my friend?
Chris Eastone,
Yes.
pleasure to be here.
I would say the pleasure's all ours, but I'd like to talk about the fact that you are from the Commonwealth, also known as Massachusetts. Let's get into it. Where are you from?
I'm from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. And I guess the story is I grew up there. I grew up in Worcester, Mass for like the first couple of years of my life.
Shouts.
And then we moved over to Shrewsbury, just over the bridge.
And you went to Ski Ward as a child, as did I.
Yeah. Yep. I sort of lived in the vicinity of Ski Ward, so as soon as I realized that I was going to snowboard, it was easy to get that going.
You want to tell the listeners kind of what the vibe is over at Ski Ward?
Well, I was just going to ask, what is it? I've never heard of it. What's up?
I think maybe a classic story of a small town resort. Rope tows, kind of like T-bar style, not really rope tows actually, which is pretty interesting because you don't see those that much. Then a small chairlift. I don't know how tall it is, but
I think it's 200 vertical. I believe.
it's
We're going 200 vert.
two Hunskies.
it's a hill,
Yeah.
but it's an amazing place. It was kind of like where a young kid will just go every single day. And then they had a half pipe when I was growing up. When I was just getting into snowboarding, it was just like they decided to put all the snowboarders like on the left side of the hill, riders, right? And they had the pipe and pipe dragging. There was a whole scene. It was crazy.
Nick Esposito, the NE stud, kind of putting on for his city out there. Or
Oh
what?
yeah, yep. Olympic hopeful.
What they wanted you off the rest of the mountain, though, so they just hooked you guys up.
I don't know
with
if
your
it was
own zone.
necessarily that, but they knew that if they just made
They were
pipe
gonna
over
get
there, then people would stay. And we did. You know, you go over there, you don't really leave there.
And the half pipe, for the listeners, it was not like a good half pipe. It was,
Honestly,
Better than
I don't
nothing.
know. I remember it being like pretty smooth.
yeah.
But
Tiny.
at the
Maybe it was a
time,
mini
at the
pipe.
time, I remember this because it's something I'm really proud of. Is that I couldn't do a backside hit, and I would always be like kind of carving on the wall, and then you do a front side hit, carve on the wall, and then I remember like Nick and my dad was there one day, and he's just like, "Why don't you go up that side?" I was like, man, and then obviously now I'm trying to figure that out. So it's been fun like finding those motions after like all those years of being like, damn, wish I could do that.
That takes me back to your dad when he's pulled up on us at the spot. Like,
Yeah.
So confused as to what we're doing, street snowboarding and
It's
stuff.
a different world, but he loves it secretly. He doesn't know it, but he does.
Were you guys at the mountain at the same time?
No, not through snowboarding.
So that's probably why the pipe
I
was.
texted Chris this morning because I remembered a name, which was Drew Hauser.
Yeah, throwback.
Drew Hauser was friends with Nick Esposito, and they went to like some summer camp together.
Doogie Hauser?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we started chilling with Drew, and he introduced us to like Firefight and all these videos that Chris was in. So it was like crazy like time to be hanging with him, and we were snowboarding with him, filming with him, and he would drive us up to the mountain before Nick and I could drive. But yeah, he was like he gave me like a copy of Firefight. I remember it was like
I never even heard of this
just
movie.
one of those life-changing videos, you know.
It's a super like small video with me and
First
Scott
video
and a
you're
bunch
in?
of our friends back on the East Coast filming and stuff. But
I'll be
Yeah,
looking
it's
that
great.
up.
also, shouts to your parents, too, to change subjects again real quick. But Liz Ravelson, I notice every time I post a photo of like an animal, she seems to be an animal lover. She's always hitting me with like a heart emoji on the animal photos.
Yeah, she's got a big heart. Yeah, she's great.
And-
Don't you also have like a uncle or?
Oh, we got to talk about this. Todd Richards is going to appreciate this. So if anybody is familiar with Maurice the Pants Man in the New England area, Rav has ties. Huh?
Yeah, I mean the ties are my blood. Maurice, who I'm named after, Michael's the more American version of Maurice, was my great-grandfather, and he started Maurice the Pantsman, which was like a store where workers could get like old, like work clothes at the time. My grandfather has told me quite a few stories, and then he got into a car accident when my grandfather was in the Army. So my grandfather had to leave the Army and come back, and he had to run the store. And I don't remember exactly what age he was, but basically he ran the store, and he was able to, he's a creative guy, great conversationalist, and so he was the one that kind of brought it to a whole nother level. And then my dad was part of it as well, and I was part of it for a couple years, but just through times and industries changing, it's not anymore. But for a while it lasted. It was a really cool thing to be a.
That's a good lineage. That Maurice, for those who don't know, Maurice the Pantsman is like older generation Worcester County. Everybody would know what we're talking about. It's
he said there's like ads too on the radios.
Yeah,
and like everybody knew.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
It's sick talking to. Can you turn? Oh, this is about to fall off.
Oh snap!
I'm like,
we got a mic going.
We got a malfunction in the booth.
we're figuring this out.
This is the Rav cam.
Gotcha. Rav cam.
Stony Bud's cam, Rav cam, Grandeezy.
Okay.
So
back to business.
for the listeners, the microphone just tipped over. But back to business, Rav. So we're talking
were we?
Maurice the Pantsman commercials.
Oh yeah. Okay. So my grandfather, he would go on the radio, and he's told me this story a million times. Is he'd say that he'd go to Texas, and that there was a shipment of Levi's coming down from Texas, and he would he's got this kind of animated voice, like, come on down, and it's, I don't know, I think radio was probably a more prevalent advertising medium at the time. So I think that kind of playing into the store and everything, like it drew some attention.
Especially for his day too,
And I think that he's told me some stories about he was very creative in his marketing efforts, and they had something called the sidewalk sale, and I'm not sure if anyone's ever done these things before, but they would just on a Saturday they'd put all the stuff outside and people would come through kind of like.
I remember that as a kid.
Yeah, it was cool. So my childhood was filled with clothing hangers, and it was a cool place to be. There was a lot of good energy at that store. A lot of solid people.
The fact that Chris remembers it means he killed it.
Well, I was back east, and I remember telling Todd Richards that, and he lost his shit. He's like, "You're shitting me. You're telling me Mike Rav's grandfather is Maurice the Pantsman."
Because he's heard
and
it.
Richards lost it, dude. He's gonna. So, but yeah, to keep things moving, I kind of want to jump ahead to your days at Plymouth State. Do you think that's kind of a good place where you sharpened your teeth and honed in your skills? And
No. No, I was definitely sharpening in certain aspects, but in a more, I would say, sinister way. I don't know. It was a great place, and it had so many different effects on me because, school was one part, and then my, life outside of school was completely different, and then snowboarding, and then just trying, first time you're really on your own. So I would say that I was making a place to eventually hone in on my skills for sure. But at the time I was just kind of.
Well, for myself, you guys were putting out those insane Loonatics edits. So those were something to look forward to. Skylar and you. That
was a incredible era. Just having amazing people around and amazing talent, and because I'm not saying that Plymouth was bad for me by any means. I needed that place, but when it comes to my snowboarding, that's a whole different, I think, sort of story. But being close to Loon and having our whole crew, and that was unreal. In a way, I would say honing into my skills for sure, just through all the knowledge that I was gaining about snowboard culture. Because, you grow up in Central Mass, and I'm obviously obsessed with snowboarding, but I still, to this day, I'm still learning about snowboard culture, and what it entails. So, yeah.
What are your thoughts on college and stuff like that? Do you think it's a good avenue or?
Depends, I think, for the person. Really anything depends on the person and where they're at and like what they feel is important. But for me, I needed it and I had no choice because at the time I was brainwashed, and when you get out of high school, you go to college, you know?
Yep.
So that was just how that was. There was no way around that. And I actually didn't get into really any other schools that I wanted to get into. So it ended up being Plymouth as like that was the last one I got the acceptance form. I hadn't really gone into any of the other ones. I wasn't a very good student in high school. So when I got the acceptance to Plymouth, especially after Nick and I had visited and we got to stay at a house with Andre Barreau, and we got to like see like Chris Carr and Ryan Stefani and those guys like briefly throughout the night, just like checking out what the scene was like. And I immediately knew that was the place I wanted to go, and I'm really thankful because like I don't know, I'm not sure how hard it is to get into Plymouth at that time. I'm sure it's getting harder, but I'm really thankful that they let me in.
How long did you go there for? Sorry.
4 years.
4 years. Oh, you got it done.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Barely. I mean, not barely. I did really well, but it was kind of playing into what I think about college. Like, it's either do it and make something of it, or don't. And if you're not doing it because there's something else you want to do that and make something of it. You know, regardless of what that is, it's infinite what you can do with things. But I think for me, like, that was the busiest time in my life. I wouldn't say I was getting better at snowboarding. I was getting better at filming maybe, because I realized that you only had so much time to get tricks, so you can just kind of get in that mode and just like get tricks for like Loonatics and stuff. And we were always snowboarding. I was always filming though. Like, I don't feel like I was like going out and like honing in on my skills at all. Like, it was always just like film, which I'm thankful for, because that's just the route it needed to go.
Well, it seemed like around that time you and Skylar had kind of formed a good relationship, that rider-filmer dynamic, like that was your guy.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I love
kind of, but Skylar was even like sort of late into the scene, because when I first got into Plymouth, it was Happy Tree Productions.
Yep.
And that was James Thomas, and it was a whole nother thing filming with James, but it was great. Mm-hmm. It's different with everyone, but yeah, I think for like, really, but I think I was using, my part for the Happy Tree came out, and then we started doing the Loonatics, and so it all was kind of like moving in different phases.
So cool. Well, I like to, me and Buds have discovered that we like to get into Name That Video part early.
True.
Oh man, okay.
So we're just going to jump right into this one right now.
Actually, let's do it later.
You want to do it later?
Yeah, let's do it later.
Okay.
Let's keep talking.
Wow, we switching it up. Okay. In that case then, we were speaking on the phone last night, and one of the things you were talking about was the current state of the world and, and COVID and that whole thing. Do you want to, like, what are your thoughts on COVID and locking down?
I have a lot of thoughts on all of it.
Yeah. But
I'm trying right now to simplify those things because there is so much to process in this world right now. And I think for me right now, how I'm processing it is that I'm just trying to do as much research into everything as I can. And also just trying to find my own way, my own feelings through all of it that I feel truthful to, and taking time. I think mainly like what I was getting at that conversation, I mentioned we could talk about like quarantine and stuff. Just talking about like simplifying, and kind of thinking about our worlds, and like what we play into in our lives, because it's just like where we devote energy is the things that are going to be like flowering and stuff like that, like if you had a garden.
Yep.
So, and then where we divert energy, those things won't grow. So I was just thinking throughout this whole time, like during the quarantine, like not doing anything all day, basically just like kind of sitting on the porch thinking, just kind of inventorying my own life and seeing like where I'm at with all the things going on, where I feel comfortable, where I feel like vulnerable. And I don't know if it's necessarily a conversation of getting into like nitty gritty, like details about it, but I just wanted to maybe talk about just like taking some time to think about our worlds, And
it sounds like self-reflect as well a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you used interesting choice of words with inventorying your life and all that, and
yeah,
it's a crazy time, and it is a good time to think about what's going on here.
I mean, it's the least that we can do, I think, because
Yeah.
like it's hard to. I think I just think about how it's hard to make like genuine change. It's not impossible, but it's hard, and you want to make sure that you have your truths together before you start jumping out. It's just like we could talk about Plymouth, you know, like I think that during that time I got a lot of opportunities in my earlier career that maybe like I jumped at, you know, I was like chomping at the bit to get to, like by any means.
So excited to get
so
in.
excited,
Yeah.
you know, everything else in my world just like goodbye, you know, I'm doing this.
It's on.
Not saying that those things were wrong, but to just like know what you're doing, you know, to be like really honest with your movements.
Totally. That sounds to me, what I'm getting out of that is like a lot of times you need to slow down and self-reflect, because if you're just going, distracting, you don't have that time to form an opinion.
And that's why I thought the quarantine was so good, because like, I can't hang out with my friends, and we had a really good situation where I was staying. I'm really thankful for the time, but I was looking at it like, okay, like I don't need to be anywhere. I'm just going to like take these hours that I have, you know, with no pressure to do anything, like especially after like, you know, what we do, we're on the move constantly. You know, I realized I never even like had a summer to myself. I was always at Mount Hood and everything. So this is like the longest period where I wasn't, you know, traveling or like, you know, trying to put my stuff together.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But I was putting it together in a different way, and I still am. So it was good.
If more people took your attitude and took the quarantine as serious as you, would probably be in a much better scenario right now.
It depends on seriousness, because like I took it serious in a way to like just slow things down, but we also took it pretty seriously, just like as like a virus as well.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think as much as we would have hoped to.
Hearing this stuff, I've known you for a long time, and one of the things I think is really cool is if you talk to most people, you ask them, what have you been up to? Their standard response would be, oh, I've just been so busy, right? They almost use being busy as a point of bragging or of bragging. Like,
Yeah,
oh, I
just
do
like,
so much. Like, oh, I'm so
doing more
busy,
than you.
right? Right? Exactly. So then you look, but then, you know, talking to you, I feel like you have a really slow pace of life in the fact that you get up, you don't rush things, you move, and you move
developing
through life,
a slower pace of life.
Yeah, developing it. But you have this analogy about rest that you came up with that just like exploded my mind.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. And this is like one that I was thinking about a long time ago. It was just like if you pictured everything as like a slingshot, and the longer that you just going back to chomping at the bit and jumping at stuff and like, oh, you know, I got this opportunity, I got that opportunity, like boom, boom, boom. You wait, and it's like you're pulling the slingshot back like further and further and further. So then when the time comes and you feel comfortable and you have like good energy, and then, you know, and the shot goes straight and it goes, you know, it's got accuracy as opposed to
It's explosive.
Yeah, and then, but you know, it's just fun. It's different for everyone. I realized, you know, my time is going to be different from someone else's.
Well, you see that in your snowboarding in the fact that when you go out there, it seems like you put 100% of your whole body into it. And I notice you take a lot of days off. And I feel, you know, a lot of people are constantly like, oh, I snowboard for a living. I need to snowboard all day, every day. Like, and you're like, no, I'm going to rest so I can go hard tomorrow.
Well, I think also that has come from a mentality where I usually am snowboarding every summer too. So like people are like, oh, the season's like almost done. I'm like, for you maybe, but I'm going to be at Mount Hood riding all summer. So, and that's where I feel like I do a lot of progression as well. But I take off days that, you know, like I'm just trying to be better at like when I feel, because you're right. I try to put in everything I got for pretty much everything I do if I'm going to do something. So maybe that's why things have got slower, because I realized that I need to like have time to recuperate and like give people my best, because what I'm not as useful when I'm at like 50%, you know? And I've been on a lot of trips where I've been at 50%, and you're like, damn, I was like across the world and I really wasn't even there. I was so tired because I had just been traveling all straight before that. So, yeah, it's just something I'm realizing.
Yeah, you travel a lot. So
I did travel a lot.
yeah.
I'm hoping to slow that down a little
and
bit.
be just a little more precise. choose the right trips, the right cruise, the right
exactly.
scenario.
Just like what we talked about, I'd rather, have 1 or 2 big trips and like really go there and like submerge myself and like learn from, and then switch it up every year. Or maybe stay closer and go on more trips, but like traveling is draining. It's a crazy thing.
It's gnarly, right?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting one. You and I both being from Massachusetts, I feel like there's a faster pace of life. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. The light is green.
It's creeping over
for
here,
2
though,
seconds, and somebody's honking,
Yeah.
and it's like the thing turned green 0.1 seconds ago, and
Yeah.
people are laying on the horn, and the line to get your coffee, everybody's stressed out and everything. And
I think it's creeping over if it hasn't already,
But it's hard to, what I was getting at is it's almost hard to unlearn that, because I'm like that,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to learn to like be chill, but it's like fucking hard.
Can't really.
man.
I don't know if it's the learning would be the word. I
Yeah.
think it's just like practicing.
You practice, yeah.
It's just like training, basically training yourself.
I'll tell you what, when someone honks the horn at me and it's only been green for 0.2, I almost want to get out of the car and
Yeah,
be
but
like, what's
I think
up?
I might be that guy behind you doing that.
Dude, I'm looking for you.
I don't think it's a bad thing, because I just think about how like there's a flow to like traffic, especially like when you're in your vehicle. Like every second that goes by that the flow isn't moving, like it just
It
backs
messes
things
everything
up.
back up. But I'm talking like
it's all
when it just
calibration.
turned green and you haven't even had a second to
Yeah.
go.
I will say though, I will honk have for sure if it's been green for like 2-3 seconds. I'm
Yeah.
honking, and then the person looks at you like I'm the asshole. I'm
Right.
like, you're the asshole. I got shit. I got places to go.
Yeah, but you know what that is. They're looking at themselves like, damn, I shouldn't have been on my phone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caught in the act
Yeah.
of being on their phone or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of it, though,
I try not to.
I try not to,
I
but-
just am a relaxed driver, I'll tell you what.
I like
Buds
that.
actually has an issue where he actually has a lazy eye or some shit when
No,
he's
I-
driving. What is
tired
it?
eyes.
Oh, tired eyes.
Dude, in the daytime. I could be just driving around the highways of Utah and all of a sudden I just start to fall asleep.
I can see that.
It's gnarly.
Yeah, I bet there's similar things like people watching movies and stuff. Just you get comfortable driving. Just
Yeah.
like,
Dude, if it's nighttime, I could drive all night,
Really?
not get tired, just I'm your boy. Daytime, like one time coming back from Wyoming with my wife on Park City, Parley's, was in the fast lane, fell asleep, full as busy as that gets, floated 4 lanes over, and my
Dude.
wife eventually grabs me, and I'm almost off the road, and luckily I didn't overcorrect.
where would
I
you
was-
be without her?
Dude, I was fully asleep, and she woke me up.
Unreal.
She's just, what, are you sleeping? And I'm just like, I wasn't asleep, and I'm like 4 lanes over.
Shouts to Angie for keeping Stony Buds.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, now she knows, dude. She just basically watches me when we're driving, make sure I'm not falling asleep.
Where would we be without the people in our lives?
Dude, for real, we need them. And when we're traveling all the time, like some of the snowboarders do. I read that in one of your interviews. Sometimes you were thinking that maybe you lost chances at certain relationships because you
Oh,
were
yeah.
cruising around and sacrifices you might have made, you know?
It's not that I lost them; it's because I gave them away.
You gave 'em
Or,
away.
I walked away from them.
Yeah.
So
Makes you think.
playing into the question of what you want to do, like I think about young guys like coming up right now, and like I think in this world there's ways to do both. You can make it work like at that lower stage, but I was just for me it was one or the other. And I was getting opportunities, and I was out cruising around, and then all of a sudden you realize like where your importance is. But when it comes to like relationships and people, it doesn't compare to a career.
Yeah,
So
for real.
and it's just things I had to learn, and then I had to learn the ways that I did.
How do you going to deal then with the pressure of all your sponsors wanting you to be here, there, here?
I don't look at that as pressure anymore. This is another point that I want to talk about. Is years ago, when things I wasn't like many years ago, my sponsor situation wasn't good. I wasn't, I didn't have any money really. But I was talking to you and like telling you about some problems I had, and you were like, "Oh man, I can't really relate because I have good sponsors and they treat me well." And I was didn't know how to take that at first, and then I was like, "Damn, like what a cool thing." And I had heard similar things where people were just like, yeah, things are good for me. And that was kind of like foreign to me for some reason. I was like, oh, because everyone I'm around, it feels like it's like everyone's kind of going through the same thing. But now I feel that because I have like a lot of
You've
support
been with
right
your
now.
People a long time.
Yeah,
and
so
there's something to
I
say
get
about
I get that now, and
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for that. And I think I needed to hear that because like you're like, damn, it just shows the possibility. You can have sponsors that you're hyped on that treat you well and that you treat well, and it's just another thing learning.
Yeah, it feels good to kind of nurture those relationships with the brands and
Yeah.
work hard and, you know, keep those things going throughout the years. And it seems like you've been able to do that. And one of the things I'm curious about is to see your progression over the years, right? If you look at your curve, it's like every year you learn more and more tricks or you evolve in different ways. I kind of wanted to dive into that creative process or your mindset and how you're able to evolve in the way you do and learn new tricks every time you go out and all that stuff.
I don't necessarily learn new tricks every time I go out, but I think through just my path, like, okay, I'll just start from the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
Learn how to snowboard, love it. The best thing in the world, you know, purely love it.
Yep.
Also, you know, my family had a video camera, so would post like my camera outside, like this VHS camera, and I'd record myself doing like a 360 on this yellow plastic snowboard. And I'd go inside and I'd be like so interested in like film and snowboarding. They were both coming together. Start seeing videos, realize that you like, holy crap, the world of snowboarding is incredible. Like you see all these amazing people, everything like that. We had Fuel TV in my house, like a privilege that we had, which had a lot of good videos on it.
Oh yeah.
So you start getting immersed in the scene, but then also you're looking at all these guys and you're like, wow, these people are amazing. So you're like, oh, I want to be like a pro snowboarder. You know, I want to be like a snowboarder. So then I think many years after that, you start to see this, like you're working towards being a pro, this pro snowboarder as opposed to like working on the snowboarding itself. And then it helped because we were so interested in filming. We had resources, so we got a camera. Me and Nick, like as soon as we wanted to film street, we were out there filming street. And that was like where we got like our most satisfaction, getting a trick, especially after seeing all the videos with
Clip
you guys.
high, we call it.
Yeah, exactly. My life for a long time. Still probably is. But so, and then over the years, you realize, when I was going to Plymouth, start filming Loonatics, and you realize you've just been snowboarding just to film clips. So then, luckily, I moved out to Utah. It started mainly when I was riding with Parker Zamowski and Merrick Joyce. I was fortunate enough to spend like one of these years riding Loon, and then even like a little beyond that.
What was that?
Okay, we just had something fall out of the roof of the garage. There were some snowmobile skag plastic pieces, but yeah,
It's a
continue,
sign.
Rav.
Okay.
How does that happen?
I was just
J2?
saying I was like riding a bunch with Merrick and Parker and like relearned, and I had sponsors and Merrick was like, didn't, but clear you like, damn, like Merrick's way better than me. Like he's incredible. Been on a lot of trips with him, and then you start thinking like, why do I have sponsors when Merrick's better than me? And obviously like he had sponsors, but like just different, seeing people's careers going like different ways and was popular at the time and everything like that. And so it really made me like motivated to just watching these guys ride and like start learning how to ride and turn. And then once you realize you spend a couple of years turning, and then all of a sudden everything starts becoming easier because you can get to the rail more relaxed or get to the jump more relaxed, and it all starts playing into each other. I forget what the question that we were talking about, how
the mentality and progression kind of.
So I just have always been like the type where I'm jumping from things like my interests and everything like that. So for a while it was like I want to film a street part and I have my idols, and then all of a sudden you start watching different stuff and you're like, I want to film a part like that, or I want to like do stuff like that. And like this year I got to ride a bunch of powder. So it's just like another example of like being open. I think from like I was always like wanted to do these things, but another thing is like, 4 years ago I wasn't ready to ride powder because, I remember this trip I went on during Keep the Change to visit Blake and Jackson, and we were like riding powder, and I'd never really like filmed in powder before. It was like the hardest thing. I didn't get a cliff that trip. But I landed one little tiny cliff that they were thinking about putting in my video part, and I remember someone was like, no, that can't go in there. But it made me want to like, get better, because you're like, well, if I can't ride this, why do I have sponsors? Like why? So I think it's just been like just interest changing and seeing where I'm at, and I don't know. I kind of got lost in that one.
With your progression, for me, I go out with a lot of different riders. What I notice about you is you can go anywhere, and some riders might be like, dude, there's nothing to do here. I'm not going to shred. Yeah. They like instantly lose they lose their motivation, but you will sit and shred anything, turn it into a sick time, and then get a dope clip, And that's kind of like his way of progressing, and it's different than
Definitely.
most people I see out there.
Yeah, that's been like a way that I've, I think trips are interesting because like people fit in different parts of trips, and you need someone that can, rev it up like while you're waiting at the bottom of the hill and there's something there, past time. And but then like for me doing that, where someone else is not doing that, they are going up to the big jump.
Yeah.
And they're doing a back 12, so it's all relative.
Did you go on that Africa trip?
No.
Oh, okay, it wasn't you. I was thinking, but you're the type of guy
Scott
like
went.
Oh, Scott, you're the type of guy like you're saying you need that one dude who can hit the jump, but then you need someone like you.
It's not that you need it, but
Well, no, you
I
don't.
like being on trips like that.
But
where,
you
like,
can just make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, I look at
Dope.
snowboarding
Yeah.
like it's an art medium.
Art project.
Do something where you see it. I think that's why street snowboarding's so cool, is because like, if there is snow and there's these features, why not? Figure them out.
100%. And some of the snowboarding is getting so insane. It's like it's hard to relate. Like I was watching this clip of Marcus Cleveland the other day, and he does which I'm a fan of, but he does like a fakey 540 butter and then like a crazy front flip 900 or some shit
that
off
on the
the knuckle.
shortboard?
No, it was just like and it was filmed crazy, and it looked like a fucking video game. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if you're a young kid, you're like, that's what, like, we grew up watching JP Walker do a McTwist. You're like, I can do that. Then nowadays kids are watching Marcus Cleveland do a fakey 540 1080 off the knuckle.
Yeah, and he can't
you're
even
like,
compute.
And you're like, I'm like, is this like computer
Is this
generated?
real?
Like, yeah. And so I think that also, like, that stuff's going in such a crazy direction that I think when you see somebody who's like refined the method, refined the Andrecht, like can
Style.
switch McTwist anything, like those things are more relatable, and people like myself, I'm just speaking for myself, I really enjoy watching that stuff.
I appreciate that, and I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from older snowboarding, but at the same time, you think about people's places and people's paths, and it's like, imagine if there wasn't Marcus doing that right now. Like, we know the real limitations right now, like the progression is real, and you're like, wow, like this is truly like phenomenal, like Jedi, ninja skills, like. And Marcus is like, I've been on a couple of trips with Marcus. He's amazing, and just, and also he's super young. Like, here's not to say like I just turned 30, and I'm working on stuff like in the last couple of years. But Marcus is so young. Like he's gonna have done all the insane things, and then maybe one day he's like, check this method out, and you're like, whoa,
True.
Yeah, or like I want to ride powder.
Yeah.
And make that. Do what you did. When
So
you went down Blake.
I think everyone, he's just on his path, and I'm like, I draw so much inspiration from him because he's just going out and he's just like, pow, pow, when he's got energy. And when I'm watching him in person, it's another thing. When you watch someone in person, it's completely different. Like when you watch someone like chatter into this jump, at sunrise, like for the shoot. And you can just see, like, when someone's in a session, like when they're, like, just focused. And seeing that was inspiring.
100%. You hear a lot of these guys kind of get hated on, the contest guys, for doing big spins, 1440s, right? But if you go to these contests and you watch them warm up and do a back seven, like first run, you're just like, oh, my God. So it's not like they just learn the 1440. Like
Exactly.
I like to give those guys credit for, like, because they can – it's beautiful watching those guys hit jumps.
Yeah, I mean, it's the next progression. You hope that's how it is because, like, that's what the world's all about is, like, stepping stones, like the 1260 triple cork doesn't exist because it doesn't exist unless, Jamie did a method, 10 years ago. So it's just, like, it all is playing into each other. Nothing is wrong. Nothing's bad for snowboarding, for the world. It's just kind of sorting out where you individually want to be, like, placing yourself. And luckily now the industry is so big, you can choose what scene you're in for the most part. But I think that's another downfall of it as well.
To compartmentalize?
Yeah, exactly.
Instead, we're all, like, your art, that's, like, speaks to your art. We're all in it together, right? Would you say you want
whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that to change gears?
We're all in this together?
Yeah, I love that shit.
It's just like, one day, I mean, the drawing is just like the sun or star shining down on everything on the earth. And basically, the sun goes out. Nothing on Earth exists anymore. Maybe we have a couple years of living like as, some sort of rodent in the dark. But like, I think it's a good enough example of why everything is important. Plants, trees, all these things that don't have voices, all these things under the sun. Like that image maybe like could be refined a little bit. I think that I did that many years ago. And I was actually thinking about it, how like in these times more words are needed, I think, because the symbols have always been about that. Like it's just about we're all under the sun. If that thing goes out, we all go out. So I think that alone is why we should try to work together. It just seems petty, a lot of the stuff that we have going on, when we really do have everything in common with not even just humans, but like plants and animals, dirt.
The fact the sun is in the perfect place to create our life is insane, just happen to line up.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I think it's beautiful. I think it's like something to find beauty in and just want to enjoy time, because like, think about it. You could be anywhere else. You could be on Saturn, the rings of Saturn, and a dust particle.
I heard an interesting analogy about humans, especially with a lot of the race stuff going on right now, and how it's divided. It hopefully getting less divided, but somebody brought up a point that the only thing that might bring us together is if aliens came, right? Because like right now, people are seeing each other as different until there's a bigger form that starts to fuck us up, and then we might all view each other as the same.
I don't want to be that guy, but they're here, dog. They've been getting us ready for years through all these movies.
Doing some probes, or what are we talking?
Dude, I've been watching listening to some podcasts.
Have you been doing some conspiracy theory? Wormholes?
They're here.
Yeah.
Actually, they've admitted, the government has put out shit. They're here. They've admitted it.
Okay, well, I just think about this.
You can find it.
It's like, wouldn't we be aliens? We're on a planet floating around in space.
We're
To someone else,
aliens
we're
to
an
them.
alien. It's like, if we exist, chances are something else does.
They've loosely
Marcus
been
Cleveland is
getting-
probably an alien.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with that? The
Yeah,
shit he's doing.
Men in Black is a documentary.
It is. There is the Men in Black. That's a real thing.
Yes, I'm sure.
But I won't press my conspiracy.
I love it. I love it. I think it's time for name that video part, though, Buds. What do you think?
Let's rip it.
Let's grip it and rip it.
All right, so this Name That Video part is presented by Snowboard Magazine. They're giving away the Season's Pass to the winner. Do you know what the Season's Pass is?
Yeah, the 2021 Season Pass is all 4 issues of Snowboarder. It is a Snowboarder beanie, a balaclava, a sticker pack, the new Tangle DVD, and basically the winner gets the Season Pass and all that, and it's got like a $200 value or something. So
I love it. Let's get into it. All right, Ravioli. This one is for yourself.
Oh, this one's for me. Okay.
You got to guess the answer to this.
Okay.
If you get it right, we have a little prize pack for you. Okay, coming at you.
Oh, man. God. Oh, man.
It's right there, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't. It's going to take me forever just to think about it, but I would assume it's in a grenade video.
It is in a grenade video.
I think it's
You'd assume.
No,
That's nice.
The 3, 2, 1's a fisheye clip of somebody going down the Bear kink rail.
Is it? It's not Shane, is it?
Nope.
Brian Regis?
Nope.
The fact you got grenade though, that's pretty.
Yeah.
It's like
You know
there.
what?
You're
For
there.
getting grenade, we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah. Right here, Doc. All right.
Oh, yes. I was actually like, oh, I really hope I get this.
Ravioli's got a.
It's funny. You're like, I assume it's a grenade video. That means
Well,
you're
tell me-
there.
tell
you
me
know
the
it.
answer.
You
The
know
answer
it's there.
is Jeff Anderson,
Oh,
Full
man.
Metal Edges.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, we have a special guest performed Name That Video part
Oh,
from Ravioli.
that's what's going down. I didn't even know this.
I got to tune up.
Tune your shit.
Okay. I can just start whenever.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a riff that I pretty much learned this riff like as I first starting to play the guitar. Like whenever this video part came out is when I started playing the guitar. Little riff.
God damn it, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
I almost shed a tear there.
I think I did.
Great tune, great video part. If you know the answer to that, comment on the photo of Mike Rav on the Instagram. Rav, we appreciate having you
Yeah,
put a
the
little
first
live music.
photo posted.
I'm going to take us away with the theme show music.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rav. Okay, Rav. Well, that brings us to, I want to get into your music after hearing you play. It seems like
Not
the
a good display.
evolution of Rav, you've got onto you're a bass player now,
Yeah.
but you do all kinds of
Well,
instruments.
I mean, I'm a guitar player and a bass player.
Okay.
And sometimes I play the drums.
Yeah, I was going to say you played drums too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Haven't you played the piano a little or no?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we have piano in my
I've
house.
seen you do that.
Yeah, at Falls Creek, we were jamming on the piano a little bit.
You're just a musician.
I was thinking about how pretty much everything is like kind of an instrument in a way,
True.
depending on how you're using it. But
Buds is good with the skin
I'm really
flute.
good at the skin flute,
the skin
actually.
flute.
I,
bass,
I'm-
the bass I got
I'm
into.
classically trained, some would say, on the skin flute. Sorry, Rob.
It's all instruments.
So you like to slap a little bass, though.
I don't slap.
You don't slap it at bass?
I would say I have like a acoustic guitar player's style of bass, but I pretty much picked it up because I was jamming with Andrew Aldridge and Logan Griffith and those guys, and they were in a band called Hot Vodka with Darrell and Sean Whitaker, and Sean Whitaker went to the Marines, so they didn't have a bass player, but the band was like still intact, and I was jamming with them, and they were like, yo, you want to learn these songs? And I was like, yeah, sounds good. So I learned like all the Hot Vodka songs, and we played a couple shows and just kind of like, and then it's just like jamming's kind of, it's nice however you can get in there, you know. And I've also realized that I don't even want to hear myself play guitar like that much, you know. So it's nice to be like taken back to the bass because it's just a bit more simple.
And you guys now, you have a space that you all kind of rent out and go play music at. And
Yeah.
How does that fit into your life? How's that creative process? And
It's really great because it just gives you a place to go. Like it's like I would imagine like sort of what an office should be like, you know.
You rented
place-
this spot.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. Well, Harry found the place when he moved here, but so you get in, you walk through the threshold, you know, and it's kind of, you're just in a creative zone. There's like, and you know, the room has seen a lot of creativity in the past, and it's a good place to just kind of like post up. Like we spend like days there, like in the heat right now. We're just like, you know, we had a couple weeks where we were there every day and just wait till the sun goes down and you leave. But
And basically no one can hear you guys because there's not houses around. It's like downtownish, huh?
yeah, it's
So no
yeah.
issues.
I mean,
You
it's
can-
24 hours. You know, we
can do your thing.
can go in whenever.
That's cool.
What time and smash on drums and bass and everything.
I think that sometimes creativity gets this like woo-woo-y thing around it. Like it's just this like, but you kind of have to actively be diligent about being creative. Like, would you say you seek it out pretty aggressively, or?
I'm not necessarily seeking it. I was thinking about this the other day, how like there's these things like that might come to you like on a whim, you know, and they can't really be like pried out of existence. They have to like kind of flow into your world, you know, like you can't like, that's like when you're prying things, like you might think you got something, you're like, what was that again? And you keep searching for it like on the tip of your tongue, but it's gone, you know, when something's just like an idea is just gone.
That's
you
the
know?
worst.
But that's because it wasn't meant to be. So I think like just staying open, finding ways to just kind of let these, you know, thoughts kind of seep into your life.
So you don't have like a process of like, do you think the snowboarding and the skating and the art and the music all complement each other and help each other?
Yeah, I think they're pretty much all the same exact thing, honestly. I get like similar feelings through everything, you know. Some are more like snowboarding is like not a lot. Like guitars like can be similar to that, bass can be similar to that, but it's not in my world. that's when it gets like most serious. But you can get to like little moments like that playing music. But I mean, snowboarding, you're like careening down a mountain, flying through the air. It's different, but it's essentially the same thing. You know, like on a guitar, like you bend a note, and that's like, you know, tweaking a grab or something like that. It's like kind of similar things.
That's dope.
And each of them requires a large dedication of time to get good at too. Like you like art and music. It's like time management is
dedication.
Like it seems like you've, correct me if I'm wrong or I'm putting words in your mouth, but I admire the fact that you seem to have simplified your life to the fact that you're like, I wake up at my own leisurely pace. I do my art. I have snowboarding. I have skating. I have my music and you know, some self-reflection and whatnot and reading. But it's not like, it doesn't feel like you're doing too much. Like you're really dedicated to those things.
Yeah. Just going back to like energy, like it just takes a certain amount of energy to do anything these days that you want to do right. So I'm just kind of zoning in on the things that I like. Like I have so many interests. Like I want to do this. I want to travel here and everything. But at the same time, just looking at right now is like the time to like really like get my stuff together, you know, and like try to just like make everything as potent as it can be.
Dude, I remember the first time I saw you skate is when really something clicked for me about you, because you kind of skate like you snowboard.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away.
Maybe I play the guitar like I snowboard as well.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I wonder if I knew more about music, maybe I'd make that.
I would say that's really similar.
Yeah. And when I saw you skate, I was just like, damn, dude, this is nuts. It's like, it was really cool. And it's just like your signature creative style. And
just like
dope.
trying to like just work with my environments, you know, whatever it may be, with an instrument or with like the guitar or skateboard.
Yeah,
it's just
sick.
looking at everything kind of similar.
Do you think that you would gear yourself more towards the feel goods? Like that is how I would word it. Like some people are into trying to flick out on manual pad for 3 hours.
Definitely.
But you're kind of more doing like slash grind and revert out. It's like flowy.
Yeah, totally. Well, just like where I'm at right now, and through like my progressions, like the stuff that I've zoned in on has been like on the, I would say, flowier side. But I'm sure a lot of people that do flick in, flick out stuff, like they feel that as well. You know, like when it's like flicking perfectly under you. I was thinking about that, how that's got to be like a beautiful thing. But yeah, I just like, you know, especially right now, like I don't really want to like, just like, I mean, it'd be nice to like learn all those things, but I just, there's not a lot of time in the world, you know? So I just like to try and have fun and also just like keep plugging away at the stuff I got going on.
Pick your battles.
Yeah. And play to your strong suits.
Do you surf?
Yeah. I'm trying to
Sick.
surf.
Hard. Yeah, it's hard
I
to
surfed,
understand the ocean.
I surfed for a while when I was living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire for 2 summers. We would surf like every day. The waves weren't that great, but we had Tyler LaRue and I. He's an East Coast snowboarder. We had this yellow surfboard. It was great, and we surfed like every day. It was awesome time, but it's kind of one of those things I feel like where you have to do it a lot.
Yeah.
And then also I have a surfboard that Jacques Barreau just made for me. I made it I won it at a contest at Loon called Whale Watchers, and I still haven't got it yet, but it's waiting for me, so I got to go back over there and get it.
Yeah, that's dope. Custom made for you. That's sick.
Yeah, this is jumping around all over the place, but you know, just hearing all the stuff you said, it seems like you found like a bit of a balance in your life more so, where it's like you find the things you love, you skate, you snowboard, you nurture those relationships. But when you were tunnel vision snowboarder at Mount Hood, and we would just, I remember we were both up there all summer, and you'd be like losing your fucking mind, and like you like shackles located in the back, like just those days were insane.
Yeah, I mean that was just like, it's like Disney World, or I don't know if it's like Disney World, but government camp, Mount Hood, like you're just in this little bubble with all your closest friends or closest friends for the time, and you're doing what you love and you're working, and it's just like you just gotta have fun and keep it interesting. And so like I think what was looking like we were losing our minds was we were just refining ourselves somehow.
Just finding ourselves to a degree.
Yeah, Definitely. Yeah, that was fun. Those are great times.
Those eras were so simple. It's just there's no bills, there's no anything.
Get some food, go board.
The food's taken care of. You don't even have to think. It's just, what trick am I going to do today?
Right.
You need to enjoy those times when they're around because once they're gone, they're gone.
Next thing you know, you're paying your taxes.
Yeah.
And you got to be an adult.
There's many paths.
Life gets real.
Yeah.
Fuck taxes, man.
I agree.
I mean, they're
really
important.
understand it,
They're important, but they suck when you don't pay them.
Yeah. And you know my deal, dog. I haven't done mine because I'm too turned up.
In the words of Drake.
It takes a lot of time and energy to do that stuff.
For real. Dude, how about our trip to Australia?
I was actually just thinking about it. I was like, was he still on that trip? Yeah, I actually have a story from that trip that I was thinking about last night.
Yeah, I have a couple as well. Let's hear where we're going.
So one morning on the sunrise shoot, Scott Blum and I were like, oh, we're going to go to the top and hang out or something, like.
Yeah.
So we like take this snowmobile. This lady she takes us on the snowmobile. She's like, all right, I'll bring you guys to the top. And we start going up, and like, I don't know what had happened, but she probably wasn't proficient in riding the snowmobile. So we start like kind of reach like this point where we're like, oh no, like this thing's like gonna like start going backwards. So we all fall off of it, and this lady starts like pushing it, and she's like doesn't really know what to do, and she falls down, and the snowmobile is flipping towards her, and she's rolling on the ground like down the hill towards like the jump that's below us. So Scott and I were like, oh my god. So we both run. We're like kind of pushing this lady out of the way as the snowmobile's kind of like
She was like
down.
the marketing director.
She was just kind of like
right?
like just totally like I don't know what's going on, like not very calibrated at that point. So we get out of the way. The snowmobile gets on its tracks, starts going down the hill. We're like, oh my god, like this thing's going straight for the lodge where all of the team is, where everybody is. Like it's gonna hit the jump and then it's gonna cruise, smash into the window, and
it was
somebody's
all windows.
somebody's gonna be sitting right there. And Scott and I are just like, oh my god. And then the snowmobile just rolls up the lip of the jump, which was like a tabletop, so it could have just like got on the top and like kept going. But it rock and rolled back down to fakie.
Rock fakie?
Nice, dude. I remember hearing about that, but
Yeah,
I didn't realize that it was almost going to go through the lodge and everything, dude. That
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like
it was like 5 a.m. or something.
Yeah, it was early. But that was a learning experience.
Yeah, that's nuts.
What stories do you have from that trip?
Oh man, I got a couple. Well, one, you hit me with a greenie on a lift, and I followed you in and actually hit the jump that you guys were hitting. And I hadn't hit something like that in years, and I was so hyped, man. It was the Volcom. It was shaped like a Volcom stone, so you didn't have to hit it the big Marcus Cleveland way.
Right.
You could hit it any which way
Yeah,
you want.
we both saw Marcus board.
Yeah, I mean, he was insane. He was going off.
Yeah.
But other things I was stoked on, Rav started this art book that was incredible. I'm sure you must still have that.
Tunga Lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess my question is, dude, are Volcom trips like that all the time or what?
Yeah. I think that maybe from what I've gathered, they're just kind of simmering down, if anything. But it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a really like, it's good people.
Work got done, but like
well, that's the thing is like they understand how work gets done, and that's you have a good time.
Yeah.
And then you just have the right people involved, and you get all the stuff that you need to get. So that's like actually Volcom trips were, I think, maybe like part of a lot of my personal growth, because I got to spend a lot of time with like Scott Blum and Jamie Lynn and like all these guys and Gooch and everything, and so just like seeing how those guys operate and everything like that. And Scott was like a real mentor to me. I'm really thankful for the time that like him and I got to spend on those trips, and like where like you see someone that's just like, obviously still figuring out their life, but at the same time they're taking the time with you to be like, hey, like this is how this works. And just because like, not everyone knows everything, especially for me, just growing up in like Massachusetts, like you just don't get clued into certain things, and hopefully you figure them out, but sometimes you don't. And it's good to have someone like Scott and those Volcom trips with all those guys. It was like
on that trip it was like Pat Moore, it was Blum, it was Cleveland, Terrier, and I mean, the list actually keeps going. It was insane. There was like 20 riders at one point.
Yeah.
And I guess you get those people together. How could you not pick up a thing or two? And even the surf team came out and hung, and not like the Australian surf team. It was nuts.
Yeah, that whole crew. Oh my
that
God.
was a trip of a lifetime right there.
Unreal.
And I remember walking away being like, "Damn, dude, riding for Volcom must be dope. That's cool.
It's unreal, yeah.
That's sick."
And it takes. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was gonna say it's shaped like my whole. Like once I saw that world, I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be like these people.
It was fun to watch the progress because it takes a minute for people to find themselves, and it definitely something
Still
like
finding
I mean,
ourselves.
we still are, but like you really found yourself to a point where it for a minute like kind of had the high cascade inspo, like just kind of purely trick inspired more so, and then you see that Volcom, that Jamie Lynn, that art, that maybe smoking some weed, getting involved, whatever, and then just kind of music, and it was cool to watch you find yourself in that way.
When being around Jamie, geez, dude, that guy is a legend. If there was ever a legend.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it's unreal.
There's not many words, it's just that's him.
Yeah,
He's right
music,
there,
art, and instantly like the coolest dude you've ever talked to.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for the time I've got to spend with Jamie and really everybody in that whole environment.
And you have Seth Hewitt as a team manager, the general.
Yeah, he was there as well, organizing shit to a T,
Yeah.
keeping everybody set up.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of this stuff is getting into realms with people because it's all people. All the whole industry, besides the snowboarding, is a group of individuals that are working on a craft, perfecting crafts, and showcasing it in this way. And I think it's much bigger than it is. I think about how it's a pure representation of freedom. Snowboarding is freedom. Snowboarding doesn't exist in a world without freedom, really, I don't think, because nor does a lot of art. Or maybe the art gets better, but it's sort of underground. But I just look at it I'm fortunate enough to get into proximity with these people because that's what it's all about. You learn from them by being with them and spending time. I'm here right now. When Drew Hauser showed me that video, it's actually crazy to be sitting here and talking with you on the show. And a lot of my whole life was trying to be like you and Scott and everyone. So yeah, it's cool.
It's a cool deal. I think everybody pulls inspiration from everybody, and it's even bigger than that, nurturing those relationships with people on those trips and all that stuff and meeting people and having a lasting effect on those people. And people, I think, you always get DMs and stuff. I do, at least. And kids are like, how do I get sponsored or something like that? And it's
Totally.
It's, have a good effect on people when you meet them.
Right.
Just be a good person and also try to get good at snowboarding, but it's not necessarily a purely tricked base thing. So much of this, it's I want to get on Volcom, but then the Volcom guys are well, that guy's really good, but he's not going to get along with us on this trip. So it's being a good person and nurturing those relationships.
Yeah, I think it's sort of finding the culture, finding your culture that you're true to, and seeing if it fits into whatever brands you may want to ride for or whatever. Really, anyone you want to hang out with.
Yeah.
It's do we have similar cultures? Because culture just in a sense of what do we hold valuable? And for me, it's the people, it's the interactions, and then the boarding. So I don't really know what I was talking about.
Yeah, I've learned that you can. I think when I was younger, I'd go on these trips and you're just so excited. You're doing what you're doing, and it goes by in a blink of an eye, and then you're home.
Yeah.
If you don't take the time to sit and make those connections that you can make, you're blowing it, and you got to sit.
Because a lot of those people
live
will be
in the moment.
A lot of those people will be lifelong. When you meet people on trips, going to Japan, for instance. I met Mugi. Shout out Mugi. Just incredible human that I want to keep in touch with.
Yeah.
I want to I sent him photos of food that we're eating and stuff
sick,
and everything like that, and it makes me want to learn Japanese, and it just takes it to this whole. And then that's another, maybe going back into the worldly thing, is because of all the travel, you get to see how different types of people are operating in different countries and where the speed of those countries are operating at, and you're like, whoa, like this is a whole different pace of life. Like this is beautiful. And then you take it to your home, and your family. Like I have this little like pendant, and it's like this like maze, and what it represents is like you go out into the world, you learn things, and you bring it back to your family. And I think that's the best thing, you know, bring it back to your house to inspire the people that are close to you and in your circles and everything, and then uplift everyone. And then you think about if people did that, then it would bring everybody up.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. And this is an offshoot of that, but going back to, you know, traveling, learning so much, there's a lot that you get from each culture where you go. And, you know, Stone and I, we went to Kazakhstan not too long ago. And I don't know if I told this on the podcast or not already, but I remember going there. I showed up, it was like 4 a.m. It was still dark out. It was fucked up. There was weird smells out of our Airbnb. It was terrible. And like, I was like, and it was so cold, and like, it just felt like a foreign, very, very foreign place. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Cause I was like, I had tired myself out so much from traveling this winter. I was kind of sick, and, you know, regardless, like I remember being so uncomfortable. And then, by the end of it, we were there for 2 weeks. I was like, I could live here. This is great. Like I could totally, I didn't want to go home. Right. And that kind of is an analogy, I think, for this COVID situation happening too, because you're like, oh God, we have to wear a mask or this or that. And, oh, this is, and it's so crazy how quickly things become normal, you know, like, and I realize this, whether you're broke or you have money or whatever, it doesn't matter your circumstance. Like, let's just say, like, this is some deep shit, but let's just say the whole world collapsed, right? And we had to like go kill shit for food and garden or whatever. That would become normal, and it's okay. So I find so much peace in, like, there's a lot of uncertainty happening in the world, right? But like, it will all feel normal eventually, you know? So like,
I think, like, I'm not even plugging this because they told me to plug it, but they have Vulcan has a campaign right now that says embrace change.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
huge.
it. It's simple. Just, if we can embrace the changing world. I mean, think about it. We're all changing every minute. You know, your beard's growing as we speak.
As we speak.
You know, you're a different you every second that goes by. So it's like, if we embrace those things, you know, flowers die, fall to the ground, and go into the soil, and the plant grows again the next year. You know, it's like, it's all a cycle, and just embracing the change of seasons. You know, it's what this whole world is built on. But, you know, I think all the stuff that I've been reading recently has been like talking about how we're just like, the word compartmentalize, you know, we compartmentalize everything, like our clock, our system, you know, our time, you know, it's like, be here at 11 o'clock. I was only 15 minutes late. But,
snowboard time.
But yeah, it's just like finding ways to just like, you know, straighten and create sterility in a beautiful world of craziness, you know. But I think it's just about embracing change.
100%. Don't be so rigid.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you can't embrace change and what's going on in this world, like, you're gonna have a hard time. So you better just get used to it, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
And who, like, with this cancel culture, it's crazy because 10 years ago I was not the same person that I was. So it's kind of gnarly sometimes to think about. In some cases, well deserved. Yeah. But in some cases, it's like, dude, that dude was 15 and made a mistake and was not fully formed with his thoughts, and let's not rip him apart.
Well, one thing I was
he's
also
a new person now.
Just thinking about, just based on like the things that have been coming into my life is like prisons. You know, like, I think that obviously there's things that you go to prison for and you should be in prison for, but also I think that people do change, and I think maybe if these institutions were geared more towards, and I don't know what they're like. They could be like that, but I'm just like, I've been clued into a lot of corruption that's been happening in prison systems.
Yes.
So I think that, like, it's crazy because, like, a lot of these people are probably really energetic, potent people that if their powers were, you know, more directed towards something positive, they would find themselves, you know, instead of just being locked up forever. And I just think it's in a way wrong. Some people should be in there for sure. But I think that maybe that whole system just like needs a looking upon.
I was just listening to some stuff about that too. That's really interesting. And I think it was like the average inmate, you know, I could be wrong in this, but from the source I was getting, it costs $200,000 to $400,000 a year to keep an inmate detained, right? And with that's a lot of money. Where does that money go? Well, you realize that a lot of that money goes to these prison guards and officers, and they needed their pension, right? So it's like this system that needs to keep these officers' pensions going. Like it's like it needs to keep fueling itself, and at the dispense of people going, at the expense of people getting a weed charge, and it's almost like 90% of them, it's actually just like small infractions, like violating probation, but not anything serious. And then this guy's, people's lives are ruined. So there's like, this is a whole complex conversation, but yeah,
the war on drugs put people on very small marijuana charges in prison.
Yeah.
Obama tried to get them all out, and now that's kind of stopped, and it's crazy and it's harsh.
Yeah, it's just one thing that's been like sort of blinking in my life right now that I keep hearing about. So it's just something I'm thinking about. I don't know really anything about it.
Have you seen the movie The 13th?
I haven't.
On Netflix?
No.
It's more focused on black people that were put in prison, but it's insane. It'll blow your mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Breaks down the facts, the numbers, and how many, and the business that it is. Privately owned.
There's, so many conversations.
And there's more black people in prison than there were that were slaves back in the day right now. And
It's
that's
something like 1 out of 4
yeah, it's fucked up.
black men are in prison.
But
Yeah, and that's this is why, right now especially everybody needs to be talking about it. And
Yeah.
I don't know, just because I think it's overwhelming time where there's so much corruption. I think maybe there always has been.
I think
And
there always
it's
has
it's
been.
hard because you're like, what do I do? Like I want to do something, but I think talking about it and finding,
Yeah.
maybe we figure something out. I
And
hope.
What we can do is just make sure we're not corrupt.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
And
I think it's hard.
part of that is some introspection. At least, it's hard because people might look, and it's hard to take a look in the mirror, and especially talking about race stuff. No white person, even if they're completely racist, aside from a KKK, is ever going to be like, oh, I'm racist. Even if they say the N-word, or if they say some fucked up shit around their friends, they're never going to say, oh, I'm racist. But they're throwing that word around. Well, hey, guess what? Newsflash, you're throwing that word around. You're racist.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be clear.
Good
like,
point.
you know what I mean? Like, so they're like, oh, people need to take a look in the mirror. And the problem is nobody wants to look like an asshole. And it is hard to be like, whoa, I'm people. I need to make a change, but that's, I think people are starting to slowly get there. And
it's okay.
Yeah.
Like there's no right or wrong way this is going to happen. You just hate to see people, jumping at each other's throats.
Yeah. Finger pointing.
Exactly. Like that it's really tough. 'Cause I don't think people learn like that. It's like, dogs, when you train your dog, do you have to like point at it? Like, I don't know how that works. I don't have a dog,
they
but-
react a lot better when you give them a treat and you say, good
Exactly.
job. Hey, good job for doing this. I'm not
Exactly.
getting, instead of hitting them for doing something
That's
wrong.
so true.
Yeah.
If you give them snacks, man, that's
Yeah.
the key to their
Big
hearts.
Phil he is a food motivated son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool to hear. And I can dive into this a little bit deeper, but I think that a lot of the people pointing fingers, it comes off sometimes the finger pointing culture. It's a moral superiority, right? If I point my finger at you, then I feel better about myself. So some people are doing it for the right reasons. Some people are doing it for moral superiority, which you can kind of see from a certain point. But at the end of the day, there's a big change happening. There's a giant civil rights movement happening. It's fucking awesome, but
Definitely.
it's an uncomfortable time of change,
Yeah,
so.
I think all great things come from uncomfortability.
Yeah.
Because it's just embrace change. It's gonna be uncomfortable, and things will change.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff that we hold as our comforts.
Yep.
I'm just thinking about like the things that maybe we have to get rid of because we devote energy, and money to like certain things. Who knows where that money's going and what it's fueling. So I think once we look into all that a little bit more and like realize where every cent of our money is going, and our energy and everything like that, because like chances are you could be buying soap that is fueling the prison systems.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to start learning about that stuff, or like make these things your own, buy them from friends. I don't know what the right answer is, and I think it's going to happen over a long period of time. I think it's a patience. But I get that right now is the time that like there has to be like there's momentum, and I feel it too. Like we've been to some protests and stuff, and a lot of energy. It's beautiful. People have to come together for unfortunate circumstances, but I think that's how all the change has always been.
Absolutely. I love this subject right now. My girlfriend Uni, she's black, and like a subject that's kind of, you know, something we don't think about is that she lives in Oregon. When she drives from Oregon to Utah, she's scared. Okay, yeah. She can't drive by herself from Oregon to Utah because there's people in Idaho with Confederate flags all over the place, right? So like that's just something that like I've never thought about. Oh, I can't drive to Oregon, like because it's not safe, you know. And so
you'll jump in your car and go.
I'll just go. I'm like, oh fuck, you know, like yeah, I'm gonna leave on Tuesday because I got to wait for something or what. There's never a real reason why I can't drive anywhere in the United States, you know. But you know, it's crazy while it was happening here. We're going to, you know, we're going to
la-di-da.
Yeah, like, well, I was going to say we're going to protest here. And while I went up to northern Idaho, you know, right after the George Floyd situation happened, and I'm driving around northern Idaho. There's people in Confederate flags, like Coeur d'Alene, everybody's got Confederate flags on their car. And I'm coming from a city where I'm like,
really?
And so you're like, this shit, you know, people like to sweep it under the rug because the real deal is a lot of, I feel like white people, they want this to go away because it makes them feel uncomfortable and they want to go back to their real life because it doesn't affect them, right? Privilege by definition, essentially. And so it's good that it's like, it's not going away. We're addressing it and people are waking the fuck up.
I think that's like, I don't really like Instagram that much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't do a lot for me, but you know, when I do go on and I learn a lot from it and you see that people like, even though who knows what it does when you post something, it's like, people are clued into things, and regardless of what they're doing, they still know about these things. And maybe if it's like just this one little catalyst to push someone over the edge into a different world, then it's great. So yeah, I think it's good to see that people are active and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to find like my ways to be more active as well, because we can always be more active. But I'd like to think that snowboarding, like I said, it's an extension of freedom. And it is a privileged sport.
Yep.
But every time I go out, I do it for, I think, the ability to do it. I can go out and I can jump in the air and express myself. And I think that the world, if people express themselves, the world will be a bit more colorful of a place. And I don't know, it's just like everyone maybe trying to find their way to find their truth in whatever they do, you know. I don't know. That one might have just like circled.
No. I like it. I like it because you fundamentally look at your motivation for why you do things, and it seems like it's a deeper. It's not just like you really love it and you really do it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about how like maybe I grew up with like my moral compass was in a different calibration, you know, and the things I was looking at, as important were maybe not so important. Are they not so important to me now? So I just think about that, and like that's something that's happened through snowboarding and the people that I've been able to come in contact with through all these companies and snowboarding. Yeah, they're companies, but they're people, and all the people and it's helped shape what I feel is important now. So I really hold snowboarding dear, and I've realized now just through the quarantine how something can just disappear. Maybe you know the resorts might not open. Yeah, we can snowboard, but it's gonna be different, and I hope they'll open, but. Yeah, snowboarding, it's not guaranteed. So when I go out, when I do anything, I try to look at it like could be your last time doing it.
Yeah,
you know,
international travel.
Yeah,
they're kind of banning the states from going anywhere right now. Next year we might not be able to do our cool trips.
Yeah, but
maybe
also,
never again.
Never. Yeah,
but
traveling
also,
as we know might never be the same.
Exactly, and then the world is going to be grim to not experience that. People just being secluded into their ways. I don't know.
But people find a way.
They do find a way, and I think this is an interesting thing about COVID. I've been noticing is that like going back to some of the earlier stuff we were talking about. It's like this fear culture of like, you know, like obviously you wear a mask, be safe. Keep your hands sanitized. Like, don't go places if you don't need to. But there's so much emphasis on like numbers and scaring people and tags when there's not one single news network saying, "Hey guys, let's get your immunity up." Like, because people that are healthy aren't really susceptible to this. Let's make sure you get some vitamin D. Let's make sure you get some exercise. Let's make sure you eat healthy. Because that's really the solution. But it's like, no, let's like instill the fear side of that and make sure people are scared because that sells way more ratings.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy watching the news, but I think it's good to if it sparks something, but at the same time, it is a fear culture that we're in right now. It's been topic of conversation for a lot of conversations I've had regarding what's happening, and really fear is that'll get you. You know, I think maybe a lot of the problems that we have in health go along the realm of like stress and fear, because I think they do a lot more damage to your body, you know, than a lot of things. So food, really just preventative medicine, you know, eat good, feel good, try to, you know, also ingestion is, you can ingest people are ingesting this right now. So I hope for it to be something that's passing on like something positive, you know, cause it all plays into the same thing.
I mean, you're a positive person. It's going to pass positivity, creativity,
so.
And that's dope.
I mean, I think
you got
it's
a really cool way of looking at things.
Least I can do on like the platform that I have is just I said this because I was actually like pretty nervous about this interview.
No, I would not think that. I would not think you care. Like,
I wouldn't
you
say
seemed so mellow, when you rolled up and
maybe not nervous, but excited.
just
but also
thinking about it.
It's just, but I told myself I just want to come on and I want to try to just like be myself and not try to be like, you know.
That's the way to be, though. Be yourself.
That's gotten you where you're at.
Yeah.
Is you being you.
There's many years where who knows who you met.
Yeah, you know? Well, you don't know who you are, so you can't figure it out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know why this is coming to mind, but I do think this is like, you know, online with what we're talking about, but people tend to remember how you make them feel, not what you said or what you did. So it's like those interactions are important. What you say on here, how you make people feel, like you're just like, yeah, eat good. It's whatever, and it's more important to have that effect on somebody than
totally. Well, I think about this with Instagram and all the words. People can say a lot of words, words. What do they all mean? Oh, I think when someone learns something, it's because they feel it, you know. And that is, you know, just because I know that 2 + 2 = 4. Like, just because I know those words doesn't mean I understand the equation. Like, when you see that there's these 2 things plus another 2 things equal these 4 things, you're like, oh, and then then you feel that answer, you know. It's like life's an equation or something like that, and maybe math is like something also more of a feel thing, you know. It's like balancing these things out. But yeah, I think people learn when they feel. I know that through like all the stuff I've done, like all the mistakes I've made, like they felt wrong, and you don't want to feel like that again, so you make the adjustments, you know.
I love that it's not about the analytical brain, it's about the feel brain. Like, because people try to analyze their way. It's like a relationship. You can take that. You can be like, well, this person's good for me because they have this job and they do this and this, but you don't love each other. But then you have that person that you meet that you feel it, and it's not analytical. You can't sit there and quantify it through accomplishments. You're like, I feel that I'm in love with this person, so I'm in love with this person, and it's not like a tangible thing. And same goes for what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, I think, but a lot of emphasis in our world is about numbers and like the quantifications. You know, people might designate what their day is like based on the number that they look on their phone in their bank app. You know, that might decide how happy you are and how you feel about tomorrow as well. But really, it's like, I think that if we've, you know, the simplification has been like my main thing is like, I'm trying to find, I don't have to go far for my, to see beauty. You know, I walk out my door and catch a ray of the sun, look at a flower, pretty happy. Go snowboarding, that's a bonus. Go skate, that's a bonus. Hang out with people, mega bonus. You know, it's like, so everything is like, it's really beautiful.
I love it. Well, it takes a lot of work on yourself to be able to admire the beauty, take it in, see things for what they are, love things. You have to find yourself, work on yourself to come out of that pessimistic place. You know, some people are looking at the same thing thinking it's ugly, and you're looking at it seeing beauty. And
I don't know if pessimistic would be the word, because who knows, like someone might get all this satisfaction out of something opposite of what I get, but because we're different people. But I think if you feel it, you know, like when I'm chilling outside, like during the sunset or whatever, playing guitar, like it just feels nice. Yeah. And maybe someone else is getting that, you know, depositing their check to the bank or something like that, you know. So I don't know. It's all different for every person. But then the main thing, there's another thing that I was hoping that I would be able to touch upon, was just like everyone's got their truth, you know. It's just like finding ways to get to that truth, however that may be, and that maybe it's changing constantly, but like just finding avenues to like figure out what I think is true, and then investing in that, not investing in anything that brings different other things into my life and everybody's life, because we're all mirrors.
Some people can't handle the truth.
True.
Yeah.
Well, then there's some people that circles back to a fundamental problem with a lot of that stuff, I think, is that people are constantly distracting themselves, so they never have a chance to look introspectively.
Right.
Because I've been so busy.
How could you when you spend 5 hours on a cell phone? You know, I think about all that time where you could have been thinking about something, but you don't, because you're just like, oh, I wonder what's going to go on.
100%.
Those are the moments, I think, and that's why I think, like, I'm trying, you know, obviously I'm just as guilty as anyone, but I'm trying to spend less time on it, because I think that in those moments where instead of, you know, looking through feeds, you might just get like a little whisper, you know, think about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Or miss out on interacting with people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's way more important than interaction with the phone.
Exactly. And, yeah. Sorry.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, one thing too talking about that is that people, I was listening to a podcast talking about technology and the effect it's having on kids, right? And so kids think that they are, you know, they're on social media in a room by themselves, and they're sitting there and they're like, you know, I have 500 friends, and they're texting and DMing, but those interactions don't actually register in your brain. They don't actually give you an endorphin as when you see somebody and you give them a hug, or you see somebody and you're talking face to face, right? And so it's interesting how this this obsession with technology is causing more, you know, suicide rates are going up, kids are dying, and they're spending more time staring at their cell phone. I think there's a correlation to that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think it's a huge thing, because it's a different world. You know, I just think about like eye contact. You know, like when you see, you know, when you look in someone's eyes, you know, you're probably gonna see yourself, you know, or you're gonna actually connect with someone. And those things you don't get over the phone. And if anything, I would assume that it's not good for your eyes.
No, no, it's not. And also there's another crazy thing that, going back to that, what we were talking about earlier, they did a study where you had the option where you could sit by yourself for 15 minutes or you could electrocute yourself to basically get out of the room early. Right. And it was a group of like college kids or something like that, like college
like, peace them out.
And they're like, they couldn't sit for 15 minutes with nothing, like in an empty room. They almost, I don't remember the statistic, but everybody was pretty much just electrocuting themselves to get out of the room.
They were with each other in the room, or
no, just solo. So people,
they couldn't reflect and just chill and meditate, let's say.
Totally. And that's one of the good things about this quarantine is, like, for me, I was in a house by myself, forced to look in the mirror, super uncomfortable, you know.
Learning how to be by yourself.
And I had to learn how to be by myself, and it was fucking tough, but the amount of growth that comes from that, you know, is huge. So I think that, you know, you have to look your demons in the mirror.
You have to like yourself.
Yeah, you have to learn how, and that's a lot of things. You got to learn how to love yourself so you can give love and all that shit.
I think those moments, like all the, you know, trials and tribulations, the stuff that is most uncomfortable and that you feel the worst about, that's how you learn.
Yes.
You know, you have to
feel it. You have to fall in your...
Exactly. You have to like bask in it. And just say, but not for too long, you know. But you got to understand what that feels like to feel that, and then let it go. And then you just let it go, and then like you make room for the new stuff. You know, I hope. But obviously, there's a lot of stuff that is here to stay. But that's just how it is, and those things never go away. And it's just more so finding ways to keep those like demons, as you would say, like fed and happy, or like show love. You have to show love to even your demons.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, another thing people have backwards about growth is they think that they get somewhere and then they're happy, right? And the realness about life is you never get anywhere you're happy. You just got to keep pedaling. It's when you stop pedaling is when you fall on your face. When you're like, oh, I've reached some level of spiritual happiness or whatever, I'm good now, and so you stop working at it. That's when you fall on your face again, right? And so it's like the realization comes from like, you're never gonna like film the video part of your life and be like, okay, I'm good. It's like you gotta love the process. It never ends. Like the snowboarding, the getting better, the fucking trying to figure out how to be happy never ends, and you just got to embrace the process and love it.
Yeah, two things about that. Like thinking about snowboarding, that was me at one point. Like everything leading up to the mountain where you strap in, obsolete. I don't care about any of it. Get me to the mountain, get me strapped in, let's board. But now I think in the snowboard culture, there's a lot of stuff that can come with that, like the mornings, good food and maybe some good conversation in the morning, like these little things that sort of just like float you on your way to the mountain, and all of a sudden you're strapped in instead of like rushing there, and then by the time you're strapped in, you're too flustered to do anything good. So I think it's about like finding all those things in between. The next thing I was going to say was that it's just like the quote, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. And that is true. But this is another example of words where someone knows those words, but they don't know what that feels like to know that it's not about the destination, because you don't feel that until you realize that you get all these destinations, you accomplish your dreams, and you're not happy. Until you realize that you are the dream. Like the process of you reaching for something, that is the dream. It's not the end result. It's the like what you take on when someone is going after a dream, and that's like putting some faith in like a dream, which is almost like a fantasy. It's like, but you make it real, and then unless you really feel it, then that dream just passes by and it's on to the next dream. So.
And then that even more circles back around to staying present. Too.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like, kind of, because that's what that is basically essentially being present. And I heard something that kind of hit me over the head, but it was like anxiety actually stems from thinking about something in the past or thinking about something in the future. When you're actually fully present, we're having this conversation. I'm not thinking about the fact that I haven't done my taxes this year, right? I'm having a great conversation. I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
But the minute that I'm like on my cell phone and
right.
I'm not present, I'm thinking about something in the future or something in the past, it causes this anxiety. So that's the thing that's beautiful about snowboarding is that that pure presence. And then also, I'm going to circle back around because I'm kind of excited.
That's what we do
about this conversation. But like Buds and I, we've gone on tons of trips together.
Say the same thing.
and yeah, do you take it? Because I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, for me, in the journey on the way to the spot or the mountain, music sets our whole tone.
Totally.
Him and I on a trip, sometimes if it's not a long enough drive, circle around the block a couple times.
Yeah, I don't even want to snowboard. I actually want to let's join the in-route.
These are the finer things in life.
Yeah.
And like also,
it sets the whole mood for the day, right?
Me and Buds have trash up to our knees in the backseat of the rental car, and I'm like, this is my favorite time of the day. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm knee deep in trash. Like this is great, But for other people, it's like they're only happy when they land the trick,
right.
And they're happy, and then they don't land it, and they're radiating bad energy or whatever it is, and it's like, it's about, you got to enjoy not landing it too, because you take the good with the bad.
Totally.
Yeah, because it's going to happen, and if you ruin, your whole day's ruined because you didn't get that shot and you're so stressed up to that moment, you're not enjoying the present moment.
Here's another moment of like what Parker Zamowski and I talk about this, or he's mentioned this, that I'm like, oh, that makes sense to me. And he talks about just like pivoting, like when something happens, you don't land a trick, pivot,
Yeah.
Find the next avenue to get to the place that you're looking for instead of basking in that thing.
Drama.
And I could elaborate on that more. It's selfish, right? And so what is self-pity? Let's break down, because that's what, when you don't land a trick and you are upset, that is self-pity. What is self-pity? It's an extreme form of selfishness because you're thinking about yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why bring down the vibe?
But also because you care so much about that thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe through that you're missing Chris in the back seat and his vibe, which is amazing.
You care too much about the result that you don't enjoy the process.
Exactly.
And that's the deal, is enjoying the process is what we're talking about.
Totally. I think it's probably the same in music and really any art. These things can't be constrained. They have to be like, they have to willingly flow out into existence,
100%.
Did I see Chris on trips when a rider gets in the car after not getting their trick and they are just ruined?
Yeah.
He's basically like, look, man, you got like 5-10 minutes, be pissed off.
Yeah.
Then I want you to just move on.
Yeah. And if you could do that, that's great.
I'll do that to myself too.
He coaches them through it.
I'll do that. Like I remember specific battles, hard battles I've lost, hard ones, and I've been like, guys, I need fucking 15 minutes to be pissed off, and then I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to leave it at the spot. And you can do that. You can do that.
Totally.
You can totally choose. It's a choice. People act like it's not a choice. It's a fucking choice.
Yeah.
So just do it. Don't be a baby.
Right.
But that's what I'll say to other riders. I say, hey, you got 15 minutes to be pissed off, and you
And
got
it
to leave
works.
it.
I've seen you coach them through that moment.
See, this is why you go on a trip with a snowboarder that
Maybe doesn't
hopefully
know that yet.
you're inspired by, because they will teach you that it's okay to not land tricks in that one day. All that matters is the pivot, and the next day that you get to strap in, you're not thinking about that other time that you didn't land a trick. Maybe this time I don't land a trick. Oh crap. And that you can keep that out. I think those are the things that, like you start seeing in a lot of the riders.
100%.
Well, I think we all know if you let it hang with you, we've all seen it.
Oh God.
It's gonna
like a
stack.
weight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it's a
and
weight.
it's gonna transcend over days because you're so
Totally.
caught up over those negative moments.
Well,
Totally.
And you think about it, you're spending money to fly to a country. You have a lot of sponsor pressure, your own pressure, money being spent. So there, and there's
Video
X
part
amount
pressure.
of days on the trip. So there is a lot at stake. Not to discredit it, but circling back around, it all when you're on your fucking deathbed, people aren't gonna be like, remember that time you back-two'd that rail, but you were a fucking dickhead on the whole trip? They're gonna be like, remember this other guy that was awesome on the trip? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
True.
I don't know. See, that's an example, because I definitely have been on some trips like in my younger career where I probably wasn't so much like negative, like too outwardly and vocally, but my inward torment was probably preventing me from really enjoying like my time with those people at the time, and that's because I care so much about it. But maybe that's another example of what are the reasons that you care about it, because now my reasons are to be on the trip with you and to experience you, and then it's a bonus to get tricks.
Yeah, it seems like growth now. You've grown into understanding through your travels and
I think it's like that.
your experience.
And then, I watched in the Sam episode, you're talking about like the Vans years, like traveling with all those guys, and like that's how it was. Like our crew our mission was to get clips, but it was enjoyable, and everyone when you're comfortable and everybody's on the same page, that's when you get stuff too. Not
when you
putting
get
too
that
much
good crew vibe,
pressure
right?
on yourself.
that's something I think I kind of want to touch on too, as a part of getting older. I feel like a lot of the good tricks maybe come from that negative self-talk, right? Like you're so hard on yourself. You hold yourself to such a high standard that your self-talk is brutal, where like, oh, I'm such a fucking asshole, I didn't get this trick. Or maybe you have imposter syndrome, or maybe you have this or that. And it's nice as you get a little older in life in general. I think if you grow, you're able to like be kinder in the way you talk to yourself, and that's important for a lot of kids to hear, because, especially, I will say this, I'm going to bring this back to getting sober. If you get really fucked up, right, and you fuck your life up and you have to quit drinking or whatever, it becomes a problem. There's a lot of like negative self-talk around that space. So you see it a lot in people that have struggled with substances. When they actually finally get clean, they're so hard on themselves. Like, hey, just dust yourself off, pick yourself up. You're gonna be all right,
Right.
And you got to do the same with snowboarding or anything in life for that matter.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of the times easier said than done.
Yes.
I think about how long it's taken me, and I'll probably have sessions where I'll walk away and feel really bad that I didn't land it, but then pivot. Hopefully you don't take it. Hopefully you don't take it too far. Because then it starts building up on everything you do. Plaque.
Plaque. No, it is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Don't let that plaque build up, man.
You want to get in there, floss.
Speaking of plaque, I need some more coffee.
Mind floss.
You want to hit that mind floss on the regs.
Well, and I just think at the end of the day, years from now, you're not going to remember those days that you walked away without the trick. Maybe a couple. Yeah. But in general, you're going to remember the memories, the people, the journey.
Or you might think about what not walking away with that trick did to you.
Yeah.
Because maybe it affected you. You might not know it now, but it affects you positively,
Yeah.
And,
True.
And fundamentally, to go fucking Dr. Phil on them, but I don't care. I like talking about this stuff, but I think some people put so much self-worth on their whatever box they put them in. Like if you're a musician and all your self-worth is your music, if you put a song out and nobody likes it, you're going to feel bad about yourself, right? And so, like in snowboarding, you don't get a trick. Your self-worth, you're hard on yourself, right? But if you learn to become not so hard on yourself, and your self-worth isn't so tied to your label, then you're okay.
Yeah, or your bank account.
Yes.
Status, it's like this stuff doesn't matter. I actually wrote like a little poem that says, I don't want to be a particular anything. I want to be a peculiar everything.
Wow.
Because I don't want to be classified as a snowboarder or, a wannabe guitar player, wannabe bass player that's a snowboarder. I'm just, whatever I am right now. And that's constantly changing, and I hope to be constantly changing and evolving, and hopefully it leads me to just keep meeting people, and I think that's like kind of what it's all about.
God, what was that quote? What was the poem?
I don't want to be a particular anything. I want to be a peculiar everything.
That's dope.
Wow.
That's dope.
That's some
Deep.
facts. I love that.
And then another thing to bring up, because I'm sure that we're getting close to the time, is just like, it's all about inspiring in the sense that you want to show people that they can be themselves. Like what Torment Mag just did during Pride Week. It's just like, it's inspiring. Everything that's happening, even though there's different sides to it and there are people that don't agree with it, I think anything that is showing that people can truly and honestly be themselves, whatever that is, whether you're a snowboarder or you classify in whatever way, whatever your truth is. If this is America and what I think it should stand for, then you should be able to be that truth. And I hope that we can move towards a place where people can feel like comfortable in their skin and be who they're destined to be, because that's how progress is made, I think. Because once we get through all these issues, people getting along, then we can tackle the stuff that really matters, I think, because this is like the root level of the morality of things, and once we can get through this, then we can save people, or work towards bigger issues maybe.
Yeah.
But this is the biggest issue. It's just people learning to, I just think about, I look at the two dogs that I live with, and I'm like, you got eyes, you got ears.
Yeah.
How different could we be? You get happy and you want someone around, like we're not any different.
No.
And I think about people, it's like we both have hands. We both have pretty much the same infrastructure, and all these little things change. And we look at them as if like there should be a fence between us. It's like but then again, the world's been changing so fast that I'm just happy to think like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's not easy. It's not far off to be in a different place where you're raised in a different environment. Like I'm so thankful for like my family, like always the most, inclusive. There was never, we were never like really talking shit about people and animosity towards people. So I'm really thankful for that. But it's, gossip can run in families just like anything else. It's a gossip and fear. So you just hope that people find their way, however it is, and find their truth, and not just do something because Instagram told them to or your best friend told you to. Like, find it yourself, and it's.
I love it. Fall on your face, too.
Fall on your face.
Figure it out on your own, because
smash into a bomb hole.
Yeah. Get a life bomb hole going. Get your own life. Like, fall on your face in your life and figure it out. And I love that stuff that Torment's doing. I think that was really important for people to come out and be embraced for being gay, for being lesbian, for being and just be loved, and seeing the community come together was big steps forward, and there's a lot of room for growth, but the fact that we're talking about it's huge.
Talk about snowboarding is like, and skateboarding, from what I gathered at the protest with the skateboard to the, but these things that we're part of, people are amazing. Like, I feel like it actually is like a world-changing phenomenon. Like even though snowboarding I see as like sort of elitist, and obviously it's privileged to get into it. Yeah. When you're into it, like when I'm in it, the way I'm in it is for just how I look at the world, where anything goes. You want to be whoever you want to be. I had years where I was rolling around on the ground on my snowboard, but that's what I wanted to do at the time.
Big fan of the back on the ground.
It's like that's what I wanted to do at the time. So that's just me at the time, and those things evolve, and I think that everyone's capable of looking like an idiot at one point and then reeling it in to still look like an idiot, but to maybe look a little bit better,
But the thing is, it's there's a beauty in not being afraid to look like an idiot. Because
Yeah.
that's
what it is.
It's humility.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I was nervous about the show for a little bit, and then I was watching you guys talk, and like Easton, we've been on plenty of trips, and Chris, we've spent some time together. It's always good talk, and it was comforting. And also the bit with Cooper as the wizard.
the shaman.
Dude, I was cracking up.
I felt like somebody
That was good.
microdosed me. I couldn't stop
we were
laughing.
feeling all weird. We couldn't stop laughing, but it was just
I was
picturing
loving
that.
the
I guess.
visual, the shampooed hair, and the microdosing. God, shouts to the dust box. Dude.
Love the dust box.
I've been spending a lot of time with those guys because we've been jamming.
Yeah.
Been like showing Cody how to play the bass. And
Oh,
they've been coming
sick.
to the jam space, and we've been like getting into some stuff. So it's been cool. Skated the ramp once.
Does Reed get on the mic?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he could. I can just imagine.
I'd like to give a shout out to my boy Reed. He actually mowed my lawn last week. So
Yeah.
Lawnmower
Hire
Man.
him.
yeah, I think he is for hire, I believe.
Reed and I
What do you mean he's
two
for
years
hire?
ago.
I think he's looking for some. He's watering Chip's plants and mowing his lawn.
Oh, he's just collecting.
So
Chad.
I grabbed him and I said he rolled the mower over here and he just tackled mine while he was mowing. So
I heard this story. This is great. I love that.
Speaking of Cheddar Biscuits, I don't want to get into particular. You know what Cheddar Biscuits are from our show, really?
I don't think so.
Money.
the bisque.
Bisque.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The bisque.
Since you're an active rider, we don't need to get into particulars, but at this stage in your career, are you making a healthy living?
Yeah. Healthy, like I have plenty.
I mean,
like,
you have what you need. You're
Yeah, I
succeeding.
don't need much. I don't have a lot of anything.
You're not one of those people that needs to be flashy.
No.
Go out and buy a Benz tomorrow.
I don't have very many expenses besides like I just bought a new bass. I've had
Slapping a little bass.
know.
Slap it a bit.
I don't know, and I don't really at this particular time in my life I don't have a lot of things. Like I think I could move like in my truck, right now.
Which is
so,
dope.
So that helps. But I'm at a point now where I'm comfortable and
Yeah.
I'm like I don't have to really worry about it as we speak. Obviously, things like the quarantine was another reason I want to talk about that was that there was a chance that maybe things didn't work out and you have to give it all up because companies are doing that right now.
Yeah, it's going crazy out there.
So and then I also came to terms with just not having any sponsors as well, and that was comforting.
Someday,
Yeah, I mean
It's
not
gonna happen.
exactly. So it was good to realize that, and then when they all came through and they were like, "Oh, we're all good," I'm like, "Man, like just it's an extra bonus now," and I have even more respect for these companies, because of their support for me.
they have
But
your back.
I have everything I need as long as I can get on a trip, and I have guitars and the people that I want to be with. I don't, I haven't really been striving for much else.
And I only ask because kids are going to want to know if, what it's like
Yeah.
after you follow your passion. And
Rav,
I mean,
go on.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you ever aren't getting paid, you give me your sponsors' phone numbers. I'll call them. I'll turn them upside down. I'll shake some money out of their
I will.
pockets.
No,
make
no.
sure you're taken care of.
Chris and I
My-
will
my-
pay them a little visit if you know
Yeah,
what
we
I
might
mean.
actually.
I got no
We'd
problems.
actually beat the shit out of them.
We might
no
teach them the
problems
real
with that
meaning of
these
concrete
days.
sneaks. If
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I'm saying, Doug.
Throw them in the river. Maybe waterboard them a little bit.
Yeah.
Great idea,
Little
by the way.
A little bit
for
of
the-
light torture.
Yeah.
for the concrete.
Slippers?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
sneaks. Yeah, like
Would
that.
you
might-
buy those? I would. I would.
I would.
If
I
they're
would wear
I
those.
They were
Co-
concrete slabs.
No, they'd be like foam.
No, like the big cartoon, like
Yeah, yeah. I don't
like
think I
people
would
have
buy
with
them.
dogs and stuff.
I would buy them just because of Sam.
Just
but,
imagine
I'd put
walking
them up
around
somewhere.
in those.
Actually, now I think about it, I'd probably be walking around in them.
It would
I
be
don't know.
dope. They'd be so comfortable.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I
Vans?
don't know what we were talking about, but yeah, no, everything.
Just
I'm
life.
so happy right now, just because like I have
Feeling good.
everything.
You got
I
the
need.
pro model board. Got your name on it.
And you.
Look, he's got end all racism under the stars.
Yeah, I wrote
Beautiful.
that for the barrier to entry event that Jeff Holtz and
Oh, sick.
Mike put on, and they raised like
Yeah, they did good.
$14,000 for Black
Wow.
Lives Matter and also Dylan Ojo Foundation.
That's so sick.
And like
Proud of
you
snowboarding
realize
for
that all the snowboard sessions, like, this is what it's all like. Maybe we didn't know it at the time, but this is what it's all about: to have fun with all people.
Mm-hmm.
As if someone had a snowboard, it doesn't matter who they are, what they're all about. It's like, it does matter. Actually, it does matter because it's okay whoever they are.
Yeah.
Snowboarders are a pretty inclusive bunch
I'm
for the
s-
most part.
My God, yeah, it's amazing. I'm humbled every time I go
Yeah.
and see people, get into those events, or just around a lot of people. I'm like, man, for what the news is telling me about my world, I'm fortunate because I see a lot of great things.
I think we all need to work on being more inclusive to the people that are starting and getting into it.
Yeah, if they,
it's only good for the sport.
If they want to be into it, we can't like force someone to be. Oh,
No.
You should be into snowboarding.
I just
and
mean
include
like
them, but
the
like
too cool for school attitude. If they're not that good or something, it's like we were all there once.
Here's another thing I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking about this. How like I grew up idolizing you and Scott basically, and you guys always made time for me. Like if I needed a place to stay or like. Just knowledge and like just being around and never, I think about that. It's like I think about that when I'm around like younger guys, and I'm like,
you want to pass.
People
that
took the time for me, and I wouldn't have got to where I was if someone didn't see something in me. Because sometimes I don't even see what they saw, and I'm like, whoa, like, are they the fool for investing in me? Like, but then you realize that they're seeing just people, certain types of people. They see the good in everyone, and they want to just be like cultivators. Of like the next generation. That's important. I think that you guys did a good, amazing job with that, and like I'm so thankful, because really, like when I just talking about Drew, when I texted you about Drew this morning, like when I first got clued into that world, like that was it. Changed my whole sphere of the world.
But the interesting thing is that I had it happen to me too. So it's like it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Right? So I had Lane Knack look out for me when I was younger and take me under his wing, and then skateboarding, Ryan Gallant's from my hometown. And so he made it to California and was pro and everything. So it's interesting when you see somebody, I don't know, for me, speaking from being from central Massachusetts, like there's not really pros or anything around. So I saw somebody in front of me like move out and do it, and you're like, holy shit, that's big inspo.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to hear. Like I never even realized that had an effect. So it's awesome.
Hearing that people paid
Oh my
it
God,
forward to
dude.
you, and now you're prepared to pay
Luckily,
it forward.
we were able to conceal it a little bit, and not be like some crazy fan. But
We had fun. I remember filming when you were younger, like those trips going to like Newburyport and shit when you were filming for like Capita shit.
And you were filming for like Videograss, like we're just on like, like that inclusivity, that's important. But then also stemming even further, Ski Ward, watching the guys at the half pipe, between like Nick and some of these guys, Joe Nomick, John Wallstrom, Mike Morrow. He was a skier, but if I could look like on a snowboard how Mike looked on skis, that's what I want to do.
That's sick.
He was just a badass, and those guys took time like to hang out with little kids who don't know anything. I think about that. I'm like, wow, like
Those are the true badass pros.
totally.
Because they know how to, spread the seed and.
Totally. Just like
I
Sam.
love spreading my seed.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Little bit of skin flute, slap it a bass, spread the seed. Why not? Let's go.
It's all the instruments. But yeah, shout out to all those guys, and shout out to everybody.
Man, I think this has been a banger chat.
Enlightening. His view is enlightening.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what conversation's for.
Truth.
Like that's why this is a beautiful thing. That's why I was nervous, because it's a cool thing to be able to just like rap some stuff out. What else was I gonna say? I do feel bad about not getting the Jeffy video, but
I felt like it was right there for
my
you,
inspirations. I haven't been watching much snowboarding in the last like couple years, just like a few select things. But the Jeffy stuff is like, and just being with Volcom and everything like that, and getting to know Billy when I got on, like, I'm still, I'm still looking forward now to, from that, looking into all that again, because just like it's incredible, someone like Jeffy, like thinking about it, like seeing the footage that I do remember of him and the art and everything. But also I was raised on, EPI films. So I'm still getting clued into like the stuff that like, I do remember when I was at my buddy's house and he had a pair of Jamie Lynn boots, and I was like, who's Jamie Lynn? Who's she?
Oh, yeah.
Like super young, probably. I mean, not probably too old for when I said that.
Yeah.
But all respect to Jeff and Billy, and
I'm sure nobody's gonna hold that against you, dude. It's
even if they
like
did,
3 seconds of a video song and you don't know it. Like fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I would.
I just think about it. It's like.
Yeah.
But
I
those
felt
things,
like
those things
you
are
knew
important.
it though, and it just was processing.
I knew it was a grenade video, and
yeah.
but because those videos are amazing as well.
Yeah.
Smell the Glove was one of the first DVDs I got. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's cool to know.
I have a suggestion. What do you think about doing a little guitar riff to take us away. I can just talk over it. Just a little strum.
Actually, Eastone and I have like a little.
Yeah, we have a little something going on.
What's going on here?
I don't know. Let's see if this is
what happens.
I don't really feel like doing it. Okay, maybe.
You don't feel like doing it?
I'm switching up. I had an idea, but you got to sing the song that you sang earlier.
Oh, from earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't really have. I don't.
You got this.
All right. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou. At the fooling at the bayou, and fooling at the bayou, the kid that was born on the bayou. Give it to me now. All right. Blowing on those drugs, boy, we was blowing on those drugs. We was born on the bayou, we was hunting on those thugs. And born on the bayou, we was creeping on the thugs. Bring it on raspy now. Okay. Me and them boys, me hunting on those trees. We was sounding on river bar, we were creeping on those trees. Born on the bayou, mommy, well on those trees, boy. Okay. Born on the bayou. Never took one lesson.
Voice of an angel.
I've never used that voice on the microphone.
Insane, bro.
That was beautiful, man.
That was my maybe down south little flavor.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know where it came from.
Alligator hunting?
Yeah, basically
Okay.
kind of the moonshiners.
Eastone, you're gonna have to come to the jam space, and we're gonna have to harness that.
You get me at a jam, you won't ever get the mic out
That's
of my hands.
That's where we will have the Caesars.
Dude, Caesars.
That was fucking beautiful, boys.
Yeah.
That just came like earlier when you were gone. We were just like jamming.
We just were fucking around when you were picking up the prints.
we were
So good.
We were trying to record before you got in here, so you'd see it and be like, "What the hell?"
But I couldn't get it to turn red. We were gonna wait
There's
till
no
you got
card in there.
Yeah, that's what I figured. We were gonna wait till you were like on your computer fucking around, and you were just like, "What the hell is this?"
Dude, I'm blown away. That was incredible.
That was beautiful.
I think we ended on that, huh?
Yeah.
Let's take it out. You know what, people? If you leave us some comments, it helps out our algorithms. I just learned. I don't know about all this
On
stuff.
YouTube?
On YouTube.
Okay.
It gets. I don't know what it does, but if you can leave comments, good or bad, whatever, we'll take them.
Yeah, throw whatever. Just throw gibberish up there.
Yeah, throw one of those thumbs up, thumbs down. We don't really care, but apparently it creeps on the algorithms and gets.
Let's get those algorithms up.
Yeah,
Let's get those algorithms
I don't
up.
even know what it means.
I love it. I love it. We don't really know what the hell we're doing, but we appreciate you guys listening.
We freestyle, as you can just tell by our song we just put out. But
God damn it, that was beautiful.
it's beautiful.
Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next
I think
week.
my beard got longer as I sang that song.